Welcome back to my channel. Fight to finish. Douglas Macgregor has some very severe warning, if you like, for Israel. We'll talk about this in a second, but I want to talk to you about this particular interesting, very interesting news, which is the deployment of 669 elite unit in operation. Why all of a sudden they're talking about this elite group that is being deployed by the ITF, Israeli Terrorist Forces, into the battle? Why all of a sudden we're hearing this kind of news? Well, guess what? That is because Israel right now is getting pounded. It is getting pounded by Hezbollah. Let's read here a little bit, because I think it is important for us to understand the context of this kind of news. By the way, this came on Jerusalem Post. Before I move on further, just to remind you, most of my viewers are not subscribed. If you happen to be one of them, consider subscribing. So 669 unit is a unit that works to evacuate civilians or soldiers from battlefields, as 1,800 soldiers got wounded since the beginning of the war with Lebanese group Hezbollah. We have seen pictures, and I have shared with you on many occasions, those soldiers who got killed or wounded being rescued on a chopper back to the fake state of Israel. In the northern front, the rescue teams evacuated some 200 wounded soldiers, while in south, some 1,600 soldiers have been evacuated. Now, these are all, remember, numbers from ITF. And most of these numbers are deflated because they do not want us to see the actual casualties, because then it is a big ego problem for the Zionist ego monsters. Unit 669 is an unit which has for specialization the rescue of both soldiers and civilians in any condition or in any location. What does that mean? It means this force, 669 unit, is very significant. It is very important for the ITF. They are normally not getting deployed just in any place. The deployment comes after it becomes very apparent to them that this is the last resort we have to take. So they send 669 unit. In other words, right now Israel, he has faced the dead end in Lebanon, and so instead of making progress, they're sending this kind of unit in order to get them back. So you're not making progress, you're actually stepping backward, you're going backward with this war with Hezbollah. Some 1,200 people are wounded since the start of war. Again, Jerusalem Post, they do not give us the actual number, but the data shared by the department showed that a majority of those wounded were men, with 66% being reservists and 51% being between the ages of 18 and 30. So you can obviously, by this demographic, make a good assumption that these ITF forces, most of them are not so experienced, they're very young, they're new to the battlefields, because their ages is only between 18 to 30. So these are young people going to the battlefield because their boss Netanyahu is pushing them and telling them, you're right at the cliff of the mountain and I'm gonna throw you all if you do not obey my order. It just it resonates with what Hitler did. This guy is almost the same, just like Hitler. Some people say he's even worse than him, but nevertheless, we're not going to argue about that. Before I talk to you about Douglas Macgregor, what he said, I also want to update you on this one, guys. Iran introduces Jobin air defense missile system with 360 interception, similar to Israel's Iron Dome. I would argue this is even better than Iron Dome, because Iron Dome failed miserably, and this is why we're seeing those projectiles, missiles, rockets raining down on Israel. Nevertheless, Iran has recently deployed the Jobin, a new air defense missile system showcasing one of its most advanced domestically developed air defense technologies. Known as the Iranian Iron Dome, the Jobin is specifically designed to counter a wide range of low-altitude aerial threats that have become increasingly prevalent in modern warfare. This is where Israel is suffering big time. Low altitude flying objects. They do not have an answer for this. This is why you see all of these missiles. Iron Dome that Israel has, all of the David Sling and THAAD missile system, these are designed and shaped to intercept objects that are substantial in nature, not like mini drones that hit Netanyahu's residence. Drones that will just buzz in and nobody will even notice. The system will fail to detect them. This is why they are failing big time. So now Iran is taking full advantage of this, because for Iran, intercepting those missiles and big objects using Russian technology or their homemade technologies is easy, and they have it available. But what they don't have is, if Israel decides to send low-flying objects, just like what Hezbollah is doing in Israel, then Iran will have an answer ready for that. With the system's deployment around Tehran and other strategic areas, Iran aims to strengthen its defenses against threats like drones, loitering munitions, cruise missiles, artillery shells, low-flying fighter aircraft, and helicopters. This new system reflects Iran's commitment to self-reliant air defense technology amidst rising tensions and potential aerial incursions. And again, this is coming for the this is coming at a time when Iran is already developing a lot of these self-reliant air defense technologies. We have reported on this the other day. Since the mid, I would say Iran is developing, and they're working really on it from the year 2015-ish, when they realized that Israel was going to be attacking Gaza and the people of Palestine. And in the long run, they have some very sinister, evil plan to evict, to displace all of the people of Palestine. Iran knew, I think, at that time that there will come a time when they will have to have a battle with Israel, and this is exactly what is happening at the moment. And remember, the main reason why Iran is getting involved in this warfare at the moment is primarily because of Gaza, and then obviously came the assassination of Hassan Nasrallah and killing of Hezbollah other members. Now let's take a listen at this particular warning from Colonel Douglas Macgregor, what he has to say about the war, the recent strike on Iran by Israel.
But I can say that I think this war is going to continue for some period of time. Anybody who thinks this is over is wrong. I mean, I had people call me and say, oh, this is wonderful. Eventually, both Iran and Israel will be nuclear powers. It'll end up like India and Pakistan. I don't see that occurring at all. I think this is a fight to the finish. And I think the Israelis have begun to figure it out. Whether or not that's going to make any difference in the short run, I can't say.
Well, if it's a fight to the finish, what is the likelihood that Russia and the United States will be involved?
It's very good. I think the likelihood is high. And that's one of the reasons why, you know me, I've been arguing against this for years.
Right.
We don't want to be involved in a war with a continental power. We cannot win wars against continental powers. A great continental power like Russia, it's impossible. Or for that matter, Iran. All you have to do is look at the size and the distance. The task is overwhelming. We are primarily an air and naval power, and we have very, very small ground forces.
Okay, so just to make mention of a few points here, guys. Iran said, Professor Morandi, he made a comment the other day, and he said that we never prepared a war with Israel. He said, Israel is so puny, so little. They do not possess any threat to us whatsoever. The reason we have all of these missiles, factories, and nuclear sites and all of those things, according to Morandi, why Iran has developed those technologies is because they are preparing to fight with who? With the superpower of our time, USA, United States of Israel. I call it Israel, but United States of America. Therefore, Iran is already way advanced in terms of tackling Israeli attack than anybody can ever imagine. Think about this. They sent, according to Israeli sources, again, I doubt these numbers, but nevertheless, they did send 100 fighter jets, maybe more or less, I don't know. But this is what they claim. I don't buy their numbers, but let's say they sent substantial number of fighter jets to strike Iran, right? Guess what? Not a single F-35 or those fighter jets that are very, very advanced, has the stealth technology, could enter into Iranian airspace. Not a single one of them. Why? Because they know the moment they will enter into Iranian airspace, they will be shot down immediately by Iran's or Russia installed S-35, or Iran has their own missile defense system, the one that I showed you, one of them, Joven air defense system. Can you imagine a country trying to attack another country with substantial number of fighter jets cannot even enter into that country's airspace? How big they are, how advanced they are, and how good they are. The Iranian defense system is probably one of the best in the world. Could be even better than so many superpowers that we have today. Nevertheless, Iran is now ready to tackle those low-flying objects that I mentioned to you. If Israel decides, oh, we're going to go on a low-flying warfare or low-cost warfare against Iran, just like what they're doing with us, with Hezbollah and Hamas and Houthis, then Iran has answer for that one too. But again, here, if in any situation Israel wants to win a war against Iran, they must need US's help. And when we talk about US getting involved in this war directly, we are talking about also Russia getting involved in this war directly. And this is what Col Douglas Macgregor, he just mentioned. Take a listen a little bit more.
Which are not equipped for high-end conventional warfare on the Eurasian continent. So the idea is crazy. We shouldn't even consider it. But right now we're sitting still and taking orders from Mr. Netanyahu, and he seems to want to continue.
Colonel,
okay, I'm not going to be playing the rest of the video, but this was really the gist of it, that Col Douglas Macgregor sees the end of the world eventually if there is a escalation, or further escalation, I should say, against Iran. Iran right now, they're showing a lot of restraint, even though they have all the right to attack, to retaliate against Israel, what they have done on October 26th night, but they are still showing a lot of restraint. They're not giving us that kind of vibe that, yeah, war is what we want to continue on. Instead, they're saying, no, we want peace. We do not want to escalate. But if Israel, the Zionist lunatics, the genocidal maniacs, decide not to de-escalate the situation, then they have all Iran has answer for that.